President Donald Trump secured Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's backing for a U.S.-sponsored peace proposal to end a nearly two-year-old war in Gaza, but questions loomed over whether Hamas would accept the plan. Dr. Sina Azodi, an assistant professor of Middle East politics at George Washington University, described the 20-point peace plan as a win for everybody. He added that Hamas had no other choice but to agree to the plan, or they would be blamed for the continued conflict, and the US and Israel would have strong justification for continuing the war. The White House released a 20-point document that called for an immediate ceasefire, an exchange of hostages held by Hamas for Palestinian prisoners held by Israel, a staged Israeli withdrawal from Gaza, Hamas disarmament, and a transitional government led by an international body. For more on this, let's chat to SABC News correspondent Sophie Mokoena. Sophie, this is certainly a very big moment, but I think what we're waiting for right now is word from Hamas, because when we last heard from them, they had said that they were not handed anything in writing as yet, and that's what they were waiting on. I'm not sure if they need more developments on that.
Well, there hasn't been a response from Hamas. We know that Qatar, including Egypt, had handed over or forwarded the plan to Hamas, and Hamas still has to respond. But many people have already criticized this 20-point plan, saying that it's one-sided, because when you look at the content of the plan, mostly the compromise and the agreement must come from Hamas. When you look at Israel, there's not much that's been said in terms of putting pressure on Israel so that we don't see again where these two are in confrontation or are engaged in a war, and also the military invasion of Gaza or Palestine, including the illegal settlements of Israel people in Palestine, as we've seen that being declared as a crime against humanity by even the special committee of the UN that was charged with responsibility to look at settlement. And therefore, it's going to be very difficult for Hamas to really agree to this plan, because Hamas will have to compromise a lot. For example, you have the Prime Minister of Israel, who will be involved in what is called the preparations and planning, including the involvement of foreign leaders in what Trump described as a peace board that will be chaired by Donald Trump himself, but they don't include Hamas itself. And therefore the question is, you can never have a peace plan that doesn't include all stakeholders. And we know many times when you have a peace process or negotiations that excludes other parties or role players, it's a recipe for disaster. And therefore, that is the issue. We're still waiting to hear what Hamas is going to say.
Yeah, certainly. And when you look at this, this sort of peace body, I've heard names such as Tony Blair being one of those that is set to be included in this. I mean, it's quite an interesting development to see what's going to happen forward if, in fact, they do agree on the Palestinian side that this is the agreement that they will go with.
Yesterday, I spoke to Jeremy Corbyn, who is in the country, a member of the Parliament of the United Kingdom, who has since left the Labour Party and has started his party. He indicated that bringing Tony Blair is a terrible, terrible disaster, because when you look at Tony Blair's involvement in the Iraq war, you would recall that it was Tony Blair who pushed that a coalition that included the United States of America through NATO that it must invade Iraq, which finally led to the capture of Saddam and the hanging of Saddam. And you would recall at that time, the former South African president had appointed scientists to go to Iraq to check whether there were weapons of mass destruction. And those scientists, a team of people, came back and said there are no weapons of mass destruction. But that was Tony Blair's argument. And later it was found that there were no weapons of mass destruction. Bush has since apologized for that and indicated that Blair or United Kingdom misled the United States of America. But Blair hasn't. He has not apologized. And today you can see the situation in the Middle East, including in Iraq. It's very difficult to rebuild. And therefore, that was what Jeremy Corbyn said, including Dr. Mustafa Baghouti, who is a member of the Palestine National Initiative and who was a presidential candidate in 2005, saying that Palestinians will never agree that Tony Blair be involved in the rebuilding or any process in the Middle East after what he did in Iraq. And therefore, I think he is not going to be accepted. Many people pointed out to that. So you can see that there are too many issues here.
Yeah, there certainly are many issues. And also, I mean, one of them, talking to the fact of this plan is basically telling Hamas to put all weapons down. But trust is something that perhaps is missing between the two parties. If Hamas disarms, then they're open for anything. I mean, these are things that need to be ironed out. But Sophie, we will talk a little bit more about this. But thank you so much for just giving us the immediate sort of reactions that we've been seeing coming from this peace plan that has been laid out, and you're seeing grand acceptance, of course, from the Israeli Prime Minister and the US as they hope that this deal will be agreed to.